Hello, everyone. This is real estate coach Craig Proctor, and want to know how you're doing. How is your business going? One thing that kept me up all night was losing a listing. I don't know if any of you are like me, but that's probably what made me pretty good as a listing agent. Is if I lost a listing, and most of my meetings, my listing appointments were in the evenings. If and I would have like a 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. So I really had this down where I could, get to a house, do the presentation, wrap it all up, get the paperwork done, and get to the next one. Not always, but in most cases I could do this because the sellers were pretty much pre-sold, which we can talk about. But back to this point, when I would lose a listing, it would drive me crazy. Anybody else like that? If you lose a listing, you kind of are analyzing it. So I'd be driving back home without the listing paperwork, and I'd be kind of replaying this, trying to think about what I could do differently. I was sort of obsessed with winning and really getting this listing presentation down. Now, if we go back to the beginning of my career, I did not have a listing presentation. I guess I did. It was called Wing It. How many of you are using the Wing It presentation, right? Where you show up and pretty much like whatever comes out of your mouth, that's what you're saying. I mean, it's fun and it's exciting, this Wing It presentation, because you never know what the hell you're going to say, right? However, it's not very effective. If we take a look at an airline pilot, they have a flight path, they have procedures. A surgeon has a certain way of doing things. There's a procedure to this. So if you and I want to get the best outcome, we need to really systemize the listing presentation. Because for me in the beginning, I would win some, I would lose some. It didn't really make sense to me. But then, just through practice, through listing presentation, that's one advantage I had. Lots of listing appointments, so I was doing several a day. So I was testing different things. I was like testing different words coming out of my mouth. And what I found, and what you found, is that some things that you say to the seller are well received. And then other words that come out of your mouth are not well received. So I'm starting to think about this. I'm saying, well, when I say this, it kind of works. When I say this, it doesn't. So over many years, I was stringing together the right things in the right order to get the right results. So it became a system. And I'm going to recommend that you all do this. Let's agree. There's a best way, right? There's best practices. So there's like a beginning, a middle, and an end of your listing presentation. So because I did over 10,000 listing presentations, I was able to get lots of practice. And so you don't have to make all these mistakes that I made earlier. Like everything that you want to do in real estate is already been done by me and thousands of other Craig Proctor members. So let's start with what should happen. First of all, even before we go to the seller's house, let's make sure that these appointments are really qualified, either by you or whoever you have that answers the phone or takes the calls for you. How many of you have been out on an appointment and 5 minutes into it, you realize, well, they're not going to list their house, and you're furious at the person that booked this listing appointment, wasting your time, and then you realize, yeah, it was me. So we're going to ask some really good qualifying questions before we even decide to meet with a seller. What I'm saying is, don't meet with the seller just because you can. Only meet with the seller because you should. I'm convinced that many of you are that good on the phone that you probably can convince sellers to meet with you that you shouldn't be meeting with. And the Craig Proctor system is all about you making more money in less time. So the key to my success was massive lead generation, right? I wanted to have more leads than I could possibly handle. Why? Because we know some sellers are much better than other sellers. And if I want to make a lot of money in real estate, I need to have the luxury of choice. I need to be able to decide which sellers not to work with. That's just as important, right? I don't want to spend my time over here with these sellers because opportunity cost. When I'm doing that, or my team members are out on these appointments, we're not out on better appointments. So the lead generation is key. We want 100% of our sellers coming to us because we're better positioned, but still we need to qualify, make sure that these appointments are for real. And when we get to the seller's house, for you, and especially if you have team members, the system that you use needs to be passed down to all your team members, right? We want this perfect presentation. So what's the framework? By the way, are you guys, if you're enjoying this, give me a thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up right now, because I'm not selling you anything here. I'm just giving you some good advice, things that I've learned over the last 25 years in the real estate industry. For those of you that don't know me, I was the #1 RE/MAX agent in the world while I was still in my 20s, in my 3rd year of having a real estate license. But it didn't start that way. I started off just like everybody else, not knowing what to do, making the same mistake that we all make, which is looking around at all the other agents and copying what they do, and of course copying the same mistakes. Cold calling, door knocking, sitting in open houses. But once I figured out lead generation, once I figured out massive lead generation, everything changed. And you see, now I was going out on enough listing presentations that I could really perfect this. You know, if you're only going out on 1 listing presentation a week, it's kind of hard to get good at it, right? Because you're not getting enough practice. Before COVID, I was playing hockey. Still, I played hockey my whole life, but I was playing 3 times a week. If I play 1 time a week, I don't get any better. If I play 2 or 3 times a week, I get a little better. At least I stay in shape. So it's the same thing for you. For you to get good at this, you need a template where you need a framework to your listing presentation, so you're not just winging it. Okay, so when I get to the house, they answer the door. A little technique, I just shake their hand and I say, "Are you folks ready to get your home sold tonight?" Let me repeat that. Are you folks ready to get your home sold tonight? And right away by that reaction, I kind of know how this is going to go. Either they say, yeah, we are. And that tells me, look, these guys are pre-sold. And I get to the kitchen table and they've got the survey out and the tax form paperwork out. I know I'm probably going to get this listing and it's not going to be that hard. Or quite often they would say, well, you know, am I going to list with you? I don't know. It depends what you have to say or what you think my house is worth. That's okay, right? I'm prepared to do my full presentation. Now, what's going to happen next? They're probably going to lead me into either a living room or a family room or a dining room. Look, I don't want to sit in the living room or a family room where I'm 10 or 15 feet away from them, right? You know, like I'm sitting on one couch and they're way over here sitting on another couch. That's no good. How many of you can relate to that? That's not going to work for us because we're there to do a presentation. So I'm going to politely ask them if we can sit at a kitchen table or a dining room table. And usually, you know, we're presenting to 2 people, like usually husband and wife. So even where they sit is important to me. How many of you can relate to this? You've got the wife maybe on one side of the table and you've got the husband on the other side of the table, and you're trying to split your time equally between husband and wife, right? So your head's bopping back and forth, and no matter how good a job you believe you're doing of dividing your attention between husband and wife, there's always one of them that feels that you're giving the other one more attention. So that's just something I realized earlier in my career. So I got this bright idea. Well, why don't I do this? First of all, let's ask to sit at a table, not sit 20 feet away on 2 different couches. And when we sit at the kitchen table, let's have the husband and wife sit next to each other. So when I'm looking at one of them, I'm looking at both of them at the same time, right? That way they feel like they are getting equal attention because I'm actually looking at both of them at once at the same time. So you'll also find out that you're probably a left-handed presenter or a right-handed presenter. You know, would you prefer, think about this, if you've got your laptop, your iPad up, and the husband and wife were sitting next to each other, would you prefer that the husband and wife sit to the left of you or sit to the right of you? Type into the comments below, would you prefer to have the sellers sit to the left side of you or to the right side of you? I'm just interested to see what you prefer. So please type into comments, are you like a left-handed presenter or are you a right-handed presenter? But you'll have a preference, right? Most of you are gonna have a preference. So I just felt more comfortable with my laptop over here, and I was presenting to the right-hand side to the prospects. That was just how I set the stage. We have to understand that we're kind of like actors, right? Actors want to set the stage. And in my presentation, I've got props, like actors have props. So now I am going to turn on my laptop, and before we go through the presentation, can anyone type into comments, what do you think happens next? You know, we're in the door, introduce myself. Are you folks ready to get your home sold tonight? Gives me kind of a hint as to how, you know, whether I'm going to get this listing, how much work this is going to be. Then they tried to lead me maybe to a living room or dining room, but I asked, can I sit at a dining room table or a kitchen table? And then I even set up where I'm going to sit and where they're going to sit. We've got the laptop warmed up. Anyone type in the comments, what do you think happens next? What do we do next? Next, we go look at the house, right? We're not doing the presentation yet. Now, one of the things that I learned to do is always have a notepad and take notes. I'm not like a super detailed person, but the sellers like that. The other thing that was important for me to take notes as I'm walking around the house is I might be doing 5 or 6 listing appointments today, so I kind of need to take notes. So at the end of the day, I know which house is which. Right? So I am walking around the house, I'm taking notes. Now, here's what's important. I'm asking the sellers questions. It appears like casual conversation, but I'm actually asking them questions that are going to help me determine their personality type. Okay, many of you have studied personality types. You know that there's 4 major personality types, and you first of all need to determine what your personality type is, but our mistake or tendency is to sell to other people the way that we want to be sold. But if it's true that there's 4 major personality types, the real truth is we want to sell to our prospects the way they want to be sold, not necessarily the way that you want to be sold. So as I'm walking around their house and they're showing me, you know, here's the brass door knocker that we brought home from Italy and we paid $5,000, and you're thinking, well, that's probably not going to change the market price of your home. But as I'm walking around the house, they're showing me it, I'm taking detailed notes, I am determining their personality type. Here's a great question to ask. So what do you guys do for a living? You know, if the husband says, like, I'm a negotiator at General Motors, I pretty much know it's a good hint as to what his personality type is. If his wife says, I'm in sales or I'm a school teacher, like, I'm going to try to find out what their personality type is so I can present my information in the right way, the way they want it presented, not necessarily the way I want to be sold to. Does this make sense to everybody? Type into comments if this makes sense. And give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying this information. Again, this is free information. Just want to help you succeed. I want everyone to have their best year here in 2021. Hey, there's no reason for you not to be having an awesome year. We are in the best real estate market of like ever. You know that, right? If you're not succeeding in real estate right now, we can't really blame the market, right? I hear people blaming COVID. Well, COVID, but there's lots of houses selling. In fact, there's 10, 15, 20 offers on some properties. They're selling instantaneously. So somebody is participating in all these sales, right? Why not you? You see, you may be doing the best you can, trying as hard as you can. It's okay to get some help. And that's what I help agents do. I help them get beyond where they are now. Remember, everything that you want to do in real estate is already being successfully done by thousands of other Craig Proctor members. It's easy to teach you how to do this in the very best way. Look at this. Whatever you're doing right now, let's face it, you copied it, right? Whatever you're doing right now in real estate, you copied it. Just like I told you at the beginning of the video, when I got into real estate, the big mistake I made is looking around at all the other agents and I just copied what they were doing. So we want to copy, but we want to make sure we're copying the best practices. So what you copied just may not be the best practices. So if you're trying as hard as you can and you're just not getting the results you want, it may be time to look at getting a coach. And you want somebody that's been in the trenches and they've successfully done the thing that they're teaching you to do. Okay, so back to this listing presentation. I asked them specific questions to determine the personality type. Also, they're asking me questions. Like if I walk into the house and the husband says right away, what's your commission rate and how much do you think you can sell our house for? I probably know I'm dealing with the dominant personality. This is somebody that's not going to put up with a 2-hour listing presentation, right? So I've got to hit my high points, and like some of you may be an analytical personality, right? And you might think, well, I would never list my house or buy a car or do anything quickly. But a lot of people are like that, right? So if I'm dealing with a dominant personality, someone that makes decisions quickly, and I'm trying to give them like an hour presentation with facts and charts and checklists, I'm going to look at them and see their eyeballs rolling back in their head. They don't want that. This type of personality has decided probably in like the first 15 minutes whether they're going to list their home with you. Okay, the opposite of that is if you meet with an analytical. Okay, now you might not be an analytical, right? You might be the type of person that does make decisions in 15 or 20 minutes. You would decide what agent you're going to use very quickly. But the analytical, that's the seller that, you're at their house for an hour and a half and you've shown them everything you possibly can, and they're still like, well, we need to think about it. So when you meet with a seller like that, if they're not ready to list at the end of the presentation, what I would recommend that you do is make it your idea. Say, hey, we've covered a lot of information today. Why don't you think about this tonight, and I'll follow up with you tomorrow. You see, they would like that, and that's what they're going to do anyway, so you may as well make it your idea. Now, to the presentation itself. Again, give me the thumbs up if you're liking this. And by the way, if you know other realtors that would benefit from my information, make sure you share this video. Share this video with other realtors you know, and they'll get it, or you can just type their name into the comments. And make sure you like this page and you turn on the notifications wherever they are. Turn on the notifications, and that way, whenever I do good educational videos like this, you're gonna see them in your news feed. So let's get back to this presentation. We have looked around at the house now. Okay, we know husband and wife are either sitting to your left or right, and you're going to go through the presentation. What is the structure of this presentation? Again, it shouldn't be wing it, right? It shouldn't be like, oh, let's just make it up. I'm not saying that will never work for you. I'm just saying it's not going to work the best. And you want to convert as many of these appointments as possible. So you're going to have an introduction. You're going to spend maybe like a minute on you, but then you're going to spend the next 30 or 60 minutes on them. Okay? Don't bother talking about how great your company is or how many awards you've won. They really don't care about that. Hey, trust me on this. I was the #1 RE/MAX agent in the entire world for commissions earned. I was selling over 500 homes a year, and I'm going to tell you, they didn't care. Okay? Nobody cared about how many awards I won. The presentation's got to be about them. A great way to start the presentation is, you should already know if they're interviewing other agents, but if you don't know, by the time you get there, you want to ask them if you're going to be speaking to any other agents. And I'm going to ask them, what's important to you? You see, I want to sell them based on what's important to them. How many of you have done a listing presentation before? You might go like an hour long, but you're not addressing or hitting the points that's most important to the seller. So don't guess. Don't be shy about this. Start the presentation saying, hey, I know you're going to be speaking to a couple of other realtors. By the way, I would show you how to be the last one they meet with, and I would show you how to make sure they don't list with one of the other agents before you have a chance to meet with them. That's separate training. But if they're in competition, you certainly want to be asking, what's important to you? What's going to be the deciding factor? Okay, how are you going to decide whether to choose, agent 1, 2, or 3? Because I want to be that person. So it's important for me to know. Again, based on their personality, based on what's important to me, I am going to be talking about the parts of my presentation that I believe are best going to resonate with this seller. So we've got the introduction, then we have the benefit portion of the presentation. This is where I'm going to set myself apart from all the other agents. I'm going to talk about unique services and programs that I have that other agents do not have. And then before I get into pricing, okay, before I give them my recommended asking price, and before I quote my commission rate, because they're going to want to know that, I'm going to ask this. Based on everything we've discussed, okay, all the benefits I've discussed, Would you like me to handle the sale of your home? They might say, well, I don't know, you haven't talked about the recommended asking price, or you haven't told us what your commission is. And I'll say, yeah, but based on the benefits that we've discussed, assuming we can come to an agreement on what the asking price should be and come to an agreement on my fee, based on what we've covered so far, would you like me to handle the sale of your home? I'm trying to get them to say yes there, because the mistake I used to make is I didn't do it that way. I would go through the benefit portion of the presentation, then I would get into, here's my suggested list price, this is what my commission rate is, and then they would say no. The problem was I didn't know what they were saying no to. Were they saying no to the benefit portion? Were they saying no to, they didn't like my suggested list price? Did they not like my commission rate? Well, you can't handle an objection if you don't know what the objection is. So do the benefits portion, get the green light on that before you get into pricing or you get into commission. Because at the end now, if they say no, if they balk at signing up, at least I know, well, the problem's either got to be they didn't like my recommended asking price or they didn't like my fee. Hey, if you guys are liking this and you want more information, I've got something I can offer you. I can offer you a free consultation. We can look at where your business is and where you want to go, and we can share with you the best ways to do this. It's absolutely free of charge, no obligation. If someone could type in www.craigproctorcall.com. Again, it's craigproctorcall.com. Type the www in front of it, because then it'll be a clickable link. If someone can do that, if this resonates with you, if you like getting information from somebody that's been in the trenches, I sold over 10,000 homes, and I've helped thousands of real estate agents all over the country in the last 25 years. We're happy to talk to you about this. It doesn't cost you anything. You're not obligated to anything. It's just a conversation. We ask you about what you're doing now and how you're doing it and why you're doing it that way. And then we show you, well, here's what we would recommend. And you could decide, hey, I would like to work with these guys and get more help, or you wouldn't, and you just keep doing what you're doing. But I want to share with you over video some of the mistakes that agents make and how to avoid these mistakes, starting with the mistakes that I made. So again, back to the beginning, don't just copy other agents. Don't have a wing it presentation. The market is as hot as it's ever been. How much money do you make when you sell a house? Type into the comments, what's your average, not the commission rate, but is it $20,000, $30,000? So if you make a mistake when you're out on a listing presentation and you lose that listing to a competitor, that's like a $20,000 or $30,000 mistake. That's what used to keep me up at night. So multiply that by the entire year. You see, not getting help to perfect your presentation and perfect your systems, it's costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not only are you spending time away from your family on these presentations, everyone you lose is $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 or more, depending on what part of the country you're with. So you should make a decision. You know what? I really want to fine-tune my skills. It's all these little details in the presentation. What should I say first? What should I say second? Should I say third? And when I help you become really, really good with your listing presentation, and when I help you bring in so much business that you can't go out on all the listing appointments, guess what the opportunity is? I teach you how to be awesome at your listing presentation, and then all the people that you recruit, the licensed agents that you recruit to join your team, now you can teach them what I taught you. I teach you this ultimate listing presentation, you become amazing at it, and then you have the ability now to teach the agents that you're going to recruit. And you want to know what that means eventually? It means freedom. It means freedom. Eventually I was selling over 500 homes a year, and I didn't even have to go out on the listing presentations anymore. I had a real business. Okay, I got the thing that I wanted when I got into real estate. I got more money, I had more time, but I had more freedom. And that's what I wish for all of you as we head into a new year. The marketplace is great, folks. Don't let anyone tell you it's not great. If the listings are where it's at, let me help you get listings. I hear many of you saying, you know what, the market's terrible because I have a buyer and I can't find them a home. And when we make an offer, we're up against 5 or 10 or 20 other offers and we keep losing. That's why you want to get the listings. Get the listings and you will get lots of buyers. Get the listings first, you'll get lots of buyers, then you can double end your own listings. You don't have to depend on other agents and you get the entire commission. That's how you get rich selling real estate. So thank you very much for joining me today. Again, if you want to go to craigproctorcall.com, www.craigproctorcall.com, we'd be happy to talk to you. We'll ask you a series of questions. It's 45 minutes. Invest 45 minutes in your business. You have absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. I've helped thousands of real estate agents from all over North America over the last 25 years, and I would love to help you as well. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Remember, hit the like button, okay? Turn on the notifications and give me a thumbs up, and we'll see everybody next time. Have an awesome day. Take care.